Well, thank you to Union Minister of State for Entrepreneurship, Skill Development, Electronics and Technology, Rajeev Chandrashekar ji, who's joining us from Bengaluru live. Namaste, sir. Thank you very, very much for doing this. And I have to say,
thank you, Anand.
I have to say that tell our viewers that he is live. This is nothing is recorded, it's unfiltered, but we would like you to ask the right questions of him. And through the day, we have promoted this entire interaction, Rajeev ji, and I must tell you, there are people from all walks of life. There are students, there are college-going youngsters, there are industry experts, there are Fauji's, there are different people who have asked a gamut of questions for you, and we have kept them all ready. So one by one, we will try and take those, and they will cover a broad spectrum, and I'm sure you are ready for it. So at the outset, let me ask you, are you nervous or are you excited, or have you been looking forward to this interaction?
No, I'm not nervous. Certainly, I find that this type of interaction is certainly a very interesting, unique format, Anand, and more power to you for doing this. And I hope you continue to do these type of interactive question and answers between the viewers and those who are in public life. I think it can only strengthen democracy. It can only strengthen the awareness and the relationship and trust between those of us in public life and those of you who watch those of us in public life do our thing and act on your behalf. So I think this is certainly a very good initiative on your part, and thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you. So we've got a video caller and we also have a live caller. The number is flashing, Rajeev ji, on the bottom of our screens. It's 0120-434-1895. That's the number that you can call. Our first caller is from Karnataka, from Belagavi. Namaskara, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Srinivas.
good evening, sir.
Srinivas ji.
Namaskara. Good evening, sir.
Srinivas ji, I'm just going to check if Rajeev ji can hear you. Rajeev ji, can you hear Srinivas ji?
I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, so go ahead, Srinivas ji. What's your question?
Yeah, namaskara, sir. Now, first of all, let me congratulate you for making our government from office of power to office of service. Number one. Number two, I have 2 points. Number one is the congratulations. Many excellent incentives which your government has taken. For example, the Bapuji website, the digitalization of panchayat records. People can pay online their taxes, etc., etc. Second thing is the MSME, which it is helping crores of MSME small entrepreneurs. Third is the FSCCAI, which helps the very, very small hoteliers also. But only thing is, there must be more publicity. It has not reached to the ground level. And if it does so, it will be an excellent cakewalk. And the second thing, the last one, my small request is that, many of the government websites, they are not HTTPS, which is very, very sad because it is open to hacking, which is government sites, the government department give it to the small part-time entrepreneurs to make their website, which is very, very wrong, and it can be open to hacking. If that can be stopped, and government officials should have an official email.
Okay.
Most of them have Gmail. Thank you so much, and all the best.
Srinivas ji, Rajeev ji will answer your question. Yes, Rajeev.
Tumba dhanyavadagalu, Srinivas avare. Thank you for asking those questions. Let me first of all say, I think to acknowledge your point about this transformation in political culture that our Prime Minister has brought from 2014 nationally, and he has done it for several years in Gujarat when he was the Chief Minister, which is a political culture of public service, that politics is about serving the nation, serving the people, serving communities and serving states. I certainly believe it is a significant shift in the way the politics of our country is being conducted, and my party, the Bhajpa, the BJP certainly believes in it. There are some political parties that don't believe in it, and they are being consigned to the dustbins of history by the people of India. To your specific points about many things that our Prime Minister and our government and our double engine Sarkara in Karnataka have done, I completely agree with you that ranging from MSMEs being digitalized to digitizing government more and more, to making it more and more about technology, transforming the lives of people, creating ease of living for a citizen, however far that citizen is from the government. I think that has certainly been our Prime Minister's vision from 2015 when he launched Digital India. And that journey, that work continues. To the point about publicity, look, our objective is to do what is right for the people of India, do what is right for the people of Karnataka. And I think people like you, when you experience it, talk about it, that is one way of certainly making sure that your state, your community, your city also is aware of the work that the government is doing. The point that you made about websites having to be secure, it is certainly an important issue. And as we are looking at cyber security challenges and state actors from across the border that are basically trying to hack our systems, we are very much aware of these problems, and we are on the job. And there are certain websites that are trailing and lagging in terms of upgrading. That is something that all state governments and central government are focused on, and we will certainly be focusing on that issue as well.
Thank you, Rajeev ji. So HTTPS will be addressed very, very soon. Srinivasa Garu, thank you, Srinivas ji, thank you very much. Our next caller.
I think securing every website.
Yes, securing every website. So the S part was what he was trying to highlight, saying that it needs to happen across all government websites specifically. Rajeev ji, our next caller is Lok from Bengaluru, and then we'll go to our video callers. Lok, namaskara. Thank you for your patience. Please ask your question. Lok, go ahead, please. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You'll have to mute your television, please. There is a delay.
Yeah, just give me,
so please mute your television and ask. Yeah, go ahead, ask.
Yeah. Good evening, Minister. Good evening. Yeah, good evening. Yeah.
Namaste.
Namaste. Good evening, Rajeev Chandrashekar ji. I have a question, or rather a thought process that I'd like to ask you. The government has been on the forefront of innovation. I've experienced that personally. I think I'm probably proud to say that a lot of things have happened to most of our people's satisfaction. I have a question or a point to make here. Every time we have multiple transactions with different institutions, we expose our data. And this data is dynamic. My passport expires, I probably go get it renewed, I get a new number there, I go back and have to update all these databases. There was an initiative to integrate all of this into a single number. Why can't we drive that? I'm sure most of us who are hassled with these KYC calls and possible risks that we expose to ourselves would be very happy if we have a centralized source where the citizen updates his information and the users like the bank or another financial institution or a telecom institution would fetch this information from there. This is my thought process to you. Probably like to leave it at.
Lovely, Lokji. Thank you very much. And let Rajeev ji answer that.
No, Alok, I think it's a very important feature or very important ask from your side. I think what we have seen over the last 6-7 years is the rapid digitalization of government and public services, and what our government has done and what India has done with the India stack, with the UPI, with the Aadhaar identity authentication layer. It has earned the awe and respect of countries and multilateral institutions all over the world. And I think as we move forward to the next phase of accelerated digitalization of government and governance, certainly one of the things that we are going to do is the ability to make the interaction between citizen and government be single point, which is really what you are referring to. And one of the parts of the solution that are already available is the DigiLocker, which is part of the India stack, and that allows an Indian citizen to use the DigiLocker to store his or her documents, his or her identity authentication documents, which can then be accessed by every government service, every other service that requires that type of authentication instead of the a citizen having to reapply and resubmit it at every occasion. So the DigiLocker is one very important step of making it easier, but going forward we are going to see single sign-on, use of your digital identity in as one common identity across the entire spectrum of public services, government services, and including in the future perhaps private services. So I think we are headed in the right direction. There is, as you correctly said, there is tremendous progress been made in the last 5 to 7 years, and going forward the Prime Minister's vision is only to accelerate the digitalization of the government to citizen interface, and you will be seeing signs of that as we roll that forward in the coming months and years.
But tons of questions, tons of calls coming through, Rajeev ji, even questions on social media. We'll try and take some of those questions also, but we have 2 video callers also with us right now. First one is Shashank Maniji. Shashank Maniji is an author and an economist, and he's really in the field of startups. He's encouraging budding youngsters, techpreneurs, and he's got a question for you.
Namaskar. Technology poses both an opportunity and a threat to the Indian startup system. Clearly, we are a very big technology country, but some say that the latest changes in AI, ML, as well as ChatGPT has displaced our technology dominance, and we still remain laggards. How does the startup ecosystem and the startup community address this issue, and how can we become dominant in these new technologies as well?
So Shashank, this is obviously an important question as we look forward to the next decade, and you know the Honorable Prime Minister has referred to the coming decade as India Decade, and he has called it the India Decade because he believes, as do most of us, that the next decade is full of technology opportunities. Now, having said that, there are 2 specific points that you may want to know from how we see it in the government. One is that the digital economy as a percentage of the total GDP, even as we are growing as an economy and are going to soon become the 3rd largest economy in the world with $5 trillion plus, the digital economy will go from 4 to 6 to 8% of the total GDP to about 20% of the GDP, and we will have a $1 trillion digital economy hopefully by 2026. So we are expanding, and we are expanding by expanding the spectrum of constituent parts of the digital economy. So while we were in 2014 and before focused on IT and ITES alone, we are today IT, ITES, the internet, the data economy, AI, electronics manufacturing, microelectronics, semiconductor innovation, the entire spectrum of opportunities that represent digital opportunities anywhere in the world. Indian innovators are pursuing it, young Indians are pursuing it as startups. Now, I just want to end, I mean, obviously we can have this conversation, it can go on for hours, but I just want to leave this thought with you, which is that these new emerging technologies like AI, quantum, semiconductors, these represent huge challenges on one level, but certainly also even bigger than that, huge opportunities for innovators from India. Right. And so therefore we see this as opportunities. We see the need to make available skills and the other enabling policy frameworks for our young Indians to succeed in these areas. So don't think of these as disruptors, because I think in the coming decade technology will continue to disrupt. Disruptions will be the normal every year, every 2 years, but the fact that we will continue to evolve, develop new solutions as these new solutions and technologies emerge should be clearly understood, is our goal, is our ambition, and is really what we will set out to do as we grow our digital economy to $1 trillion by 2026.
2 more audio callers with us, GS Murthy from Hyderabad and Rajaram Shetty from Bengaluru. GS Murthy and Rajaram Shetty ji. First, Mr. GS Murthy, I request our callers to keep their questions short, please. And also to mute your television when you ask the question, because there is a delay and we are wasting precious time. That's why. Yes, Rajaram Shetty ji first. Ji.
Sir, Bangalore. Sir, AI, especially for AI, what are the support systems specifically as a minister you are providing to make at least Bangalore the center for Asia's center for AI development, sir? Artificial intelligence.
Rajaram Shetty, thank you for asking me that question, and I certainly think Bengaluru and Karnataka will be at the epicenter of the AI innovation. The Prime Minister has, in this budget, Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji has approved 3 centers of excellence for AI. He has approved a budget of almost 1,000 crores for India AI, which is going to be one of the largest AI programs in the world. We are creating a very comprehensive strategy which will make AI a tectonic, kinetic enabler of the digital economy. We see a lot of opportunities for young startups and innovators in this space. And to your particular point about AI in Bengaluru and in Karnataka, I certainly have already received from the Bommai government. Chief Minister Bommai has already written to us wanting an AI center in Bengaluru, and we are favorably considering that request. And certainly I am very, very confident that whilst AI will be a national phenomenon and there will be many, many centers of innovation that will emerge, Bengaluru will certainly be amongst one of the leading centers of innovation in India AI.
Thank you, Rajaram Shetty ji. I hope that answers your question. Let's quickly take the next question from GS Murthy from Hyderabad. Murthy ji. Mr. GS Murthy, can you hear me? I think that call just dropped. Let's see if he calls us back. Sanjay from Vadodara is there. Yes, Sanjay ji.
Yeah, good evening. ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಸರ್, ನಾನು ಬರೋಡಾದಿಂದ ಸಂಜಯ್ ಜೋಶಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ನನ್ನ ಮಗಳು ಹೆಸರು ಅವನಿ ಜೋಶಿ, ಅವಳು ದಿವ್ಯಾಂಗ್, ಬಾರ್ಡರ್ ಲೈನ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಟಿಸಮ್ ಸರ್. 2 ವರ್ಷ ಆಯ್ತು ಅವಳದು ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. MS ಹೋಮ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಳೆ, ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಗ್ರಾಫಿಕ್ ಡಿಸೈನಿಂಗ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಇದು ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡಿದಾಳೆ. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸರ್ ನಾವು ಒಂದ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಜಾಬ್ ನಾವು ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ ಗುಜರಾತ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಯಾರು ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನೋಬಡಿ ಇಸ್ ಗಿವಿಂಗ್ ಅಸ್ ಎನಿ ಜಾಬ್. And we wrote to PMO, we wrote to President, nobody is responding. Why you give a very, very bad treatment to special child who really wants to work and he's good in computer?
Right.
Nobody wants to understand that. Just simply, and he was not even given a chance for the campus placement, sir. So she has just said, no, special child,
right,
far away.
Right. Thank you, Sanjay ji. Let Rajeev ji answer that question.
Sanjay Joshi, I am sorry to hear about what you have experienced in terms of what you are obviously trying very hard for your daughter. My request to you is to send an email to my email ID, which is available on the website at MeitY's website or on my website, and send the resume. I will certainly make sure that she is given an opportunity. I will also tell you that in the IT sector today in India, almost 48% of those who are in the IT workforce are women, and there are many Divyang men, boys and girls who do very, very well in the IT sector. I also want to share with you, just because you have called me, I am sharing this with you, that women in the whole tech space and in the future of technology have a very, very significant role to play. Even in the area of electronics manufacturing, 70% of over 1.5 lakh new jobs that have been created in electronics manufacturing are dominated by women. So please don't feel underconfident, please don't feel discouraged. Please reach out to me, please send me an email, and I'll certainly do my very best to make sure that she is getting multiple opportunities, given that she is very good in coding and programming.
Thank you, Rajeev ji and Sanjay ji. I hope that settles some of your worries, and thank you very much. Our next caller is a video caller, Jatin Singh. He's a founder and director of Gram Cover Insurance Brokers Private Limited. Hi Jatin, go ahead please.
My recommendation to the government is that the government itself is a big opportunity for startups. The problem is the government procurement system is extremely devilish, in the sense there's such thing as the EMD, which I think should be done away with. Why should we even block work capital to participate in business? Second, the bank guarantee, which is a significant part of the project cost, is also with the government, and the government keeps it till after the end of the execution of product. This should not happen. Startups should be completely free of all these two constraints. Second, the government should also give advances if any startup is actually executing a government contract, because then the startup will be able to concentrate on product and innovation as in managing the government itself. The second thing is a lot for agtech startups or a lot for agtech, fintech startups like ours. We do a lot of work in backward areas like Orissa or Jharkhand or Bihar and Northeast. I don't see the purpose of putting a GST on a cattle insurance product or on an auto insurance product or on a life insurance product. If you do away with GST, the penetration is going to increase, the cost of business is going to go down, and eventually it's going to benefit the government, and more people will be enrolled to our products and services. Thank you.
Thanks, Jatin. Yes, Rajeev ji.
So I think, Anand, it's an ongoing debate about what is the correct rate for GST in what products, and at what stage do we bring GST down and then have the base increase and therefore volumes increase as a consequence. If you remember, when GST was launched in 2016-17, there was a lot of criticism from the opposition that the GST is high, GST is going to be a very disruptive tax, and some people even called it the Gabbar Singh tax, etc., etc. The GST has been the single biggest indirect tax reform. It has improved compliance, and as the GST penetration is increased, you've seen how the rates have moderated, rates have come down. And this is really going to be the signature theme. As compliance increases, the tax base increases, the indirect tax base increases, tax rates will always moderate. So to the point about why do we have GST in Odisha when they are doing work in Odisha and in the Northeast, etc., etc., I think separately as an association, if they believe that there is some reform that requires to be done, our Honorable Finance Minister is an extremely responsive, extremely able person who responds to industry very quickly. And if there is something that the association should write with facts and figures to the ministry, and I can certainly assure him that the ministry and the government of India will respond. But to the other points he is making, I just want to tell him that it is almost like an article of faith. It is like a mission given to us by our Honorable Prime Minister that we must make things easier and easier for startups to not just start but to grow, to thrive, and to be part of the domestic economic activity and get contracts and get business and get access to government contracts, etc., etc. So a lot of work has been done to make startups being part of the contracting, supply chain, purchasing, the ecosystem of the government, public sector units, significant amount of work. But if he still believes that there are some burdens and some hurdles, I think it is something that he should bring to our attention, and we'll certainly look into this and be very quick and responsive on those issues. It is like a mission for this government to not just encourage startups but also to make startups successful.
Thank you, Rajeev ji. Quick question on startups again. Another co-founder of Biggie's Burger, Sandeep Satpathy, is with us. He's got a similar query. Yes, Sandeep.
Being into the QSR industry, when we pay the rentals, it attracts a GST of 18%, which we are not able to take the input. Similarly, when we collect any franchise fees, it attracts a GST of 18% again, which the franchisee is not able to take the input of. My question to Mr. Rajeev Chandrashekar would be, by any chance, can the government consider to lower the slab, or else they can allow us to take the input, which will not only increase the business potential but also help lot of budding entrepreneurs come into this space. I hope this will be heard and will be acted on. Thank you.
So again, Anand, through you, I just want to communicate. Look, the GST slab fixation is done by the GST Council. It's not done by the Government of India. And you know that it is the GST Council that sits and decides what the GST rates are. The way to approach these, let's say if there is some aberration, as the gentleman was alluding to, is to write a letter to the Ministry of Finance. This is certainly not my domain to either comment on or to intervene in, but I can certainly help him forward that letter to the Ministry of Finance, and the GST Council will take a look at it. If there is some mismatch between the input GST taxation and what he can avail of by way of input credit. So I think that is something that can be easily resolved by the industry association writing to the Ministry of Finance, the CBIC in this case, and raising this particular issue. And if I can in some way support them or help them in getting this representation to the Ministry of Finance, I will certainly be happy to do so. My email is on the website, as I had already mentioned.
Ji. Thank you. A student now has joined us on a video call, Jyotiraditya Sanand. He studies with the Shivnadar School in Noida. Jyotiraditya, go with your question.
So my question to you is, in this AI-driven world of ChatGPT, what are some skills that you would want students to focus on?
This is the skill development domain.
No, I think, look, the whole space of AI is a space that is full of opportunity, and when I go to colleges and universities and interact with students, I always say that, look, regardless of the degree that you are studying, certainly be aware that there is a need for you to also learn some skills. And it could be, if you focus on AI, for example, as a domain that you want to build some skills in, it could be coding, it could be use of these AI platforms in particular applications. There are many areas around AI that you can develop these skills in. And one of the things that we are very clear about, the skilling program that our Honorable Prime Minister has launched in this budget, is that we want to create skills that are future ready skills. The skills that are about industry ready skills for those in the college system and or those who are already in employment by way of reskilling and upskilling.
Right.
So if you simply ask me what are the opportunities in AI, I don't think there is anybody who can prophesize what the exact opportunities are, excepting to point you that in the direction of AI being something that is going to be deeply disruptive and throwing up newer and newer opportunities in areas that are absolutely not even visible today. So it is my recommendation to students who are studying is get very familiar with AI, get familiar with these large language model and platforms like ChatGPT, how to use it, how to create applications out of it, and create some skills in that area, because that is certainly something that will pay you dividends as you enter the workforce.
Pooja, another student is with us, Rajeev ji. So quickly taking that question. Yes, Pooja.
My question is in regards to the data privacy issue. So with the advent of information technology, everything is being led by data today. But according to a report, in a massive data breach, details of 16.8 crore citizens were leaked. It had sensitive information of army personnel people. Apart from that, in 2022, 4.7 million emails got breached in India. With all of these incidents taking place, how does the government make sure that these scenarios are not repeated? And what about the ones that have already happened like these? So how does one take care in a world that is totally driven by data and where we are assuming that the next world war can also be in regards to the data? Thank you.
Great question, Pooja. Rajeev ji.
An excellent question, Pooja, and I think you are absolutely right. We are living in times where there is a need for a deep behavioral change that is in a sense forced on those who deal with personal data, those who deal with collecting and processing personal data of citizens of India. You are aware that the Supreme Court has already ruled that the data privacy and indeed privacy is a fundamental right, and therefore our government has come up with a digital data protection bill that has gone through extensive consultation and will be introduced into Parliament very soon. And that, I can assure you, Pooja, to your question about how do we prevent this, that bill will certainly cause a significant behavioral change in those companies and those entities that deal with collecting and processing personal data of citizens of India. And those behavioral change will put a halt to exploitation and also put a halt to any casual management of data that allows breaches inadvertently or deliberately that will then compromise the privacy of the individual or the citizen concerned. So this bill, when it comes to Parliament, please feel free to be engaged, be aware, because this bill certainly is going to be causing a structural and deep behavioral change and put a halt to all this exploitation of personal data that has been the norm for several years by some companies
when will it come,
and some
Rajeev?
platforms.
When will it come?
I'm hopeful that it will come in the next session of Parliament. I'm hopeful that that we will be in a position to talk about the DPDP in the next session of Parliament. I'm also hopeful that the draft of the Digital India Act will be out for consultation also before the next session of Parliament.
So next session of Parliament, expect DPDP and also the Digital Information Act. Jiten Jain, cybersecurity expert, is with us on a video call. Yes, Jiten. And this is around fake news, I'm given to understand.
I think I would like to ask, Honorable Minister, what would happen tomorrow in case the state governments start passing their own laws in state legislatures of similar concept, where they form a state body to flag an information as fake or disinformation, and they start sending notices to social media companies. I think it is very important for the minister to clarify the definition of appropriate government in the IT rules and IT law. Whether appropriate government means only the central government or the union government, or does it also mean the state government or the union territory administrations? I think disinformation and fake news should be under the purview of union government. But since law and order in India is on the concurrent list, it is going to be a very difficult terrain.
Thanks, Jiten. Rajeev ji.
Look, I think the rule. Thank you for that question. And I think the rules are very, very clear. These rules have emerged after considerable consultation. The internet, as you know, is a union government subject, a central government subject. We are today in the process of making the internet become a safe and trusted space for the Indians that use it. And this is a very important public policy objective, because currently 83 crore Indians use the internet, and by 25-26 there will be 120 crore Indians, young, old, children, students, elderly, digitally advanced literacy, digitally not so literate. So a cross section of Indians are going to be using the internet. So it is absolutely imperative that the internet is a safe and trusted space. This is a mission and an obligation of this government to make the internet safe and trusted. Now, in October 2022, we notified 9 areas of content that social media platforms need to exercise due diligence in for 9 types of content. And those 9 types of content include CSAM, religious incitement, patent violation, misinformation and patently false information. There were 9 categories of content that were casted obligation on the social media platforms that they needed to exercise due diligence before that kind of content was permitted on their platforms. Now, what this fact-checking unit notification does is simply help the intermediaries determine what part of the government information that is being carried on a social media platform is false or patently false. It will simply flag what is false and what is patently false. There is no takedown requirement, there is no mandatory criminal provision or punitive fines. It is simply flagging that this is fake. Now, why this is important, I just want to explain. I'll take 1 minute, Anand, to explain this. Misinformation is a very, very big threat in open societies like ours. Misinformation is being weaponized by cross-border actors, and just in 2019-20, we had in one operation had to take down 1,100 accounts, social media accounts that were being fed by the ISI in Pakistan and the DHG ISPR. This is no longer an academic issue. Misinformation is a serious problem on the internet, and it actually threatens the safety and safety of open societies like ours. So our approach to this is very simple, that when a fact-checking unit identifies something that is patently false, the social media platform can decide whether to keep the content on or take it down. If it keeps it on, all that it means is the aggrieved party can then take this dispute about this contested content into a court, and the court will decide who's right, whether the social media platform to carry what is labeled as false, or the government ministry that says that this is false and you should not carry it. This is the simple outcome of it. To the specific question that whether state governments can have their fact-checking unit, for state government information and state government facts. There is nothing that prevents state governments from doing fact checking of content that pertains to them. But again, like I said, regardless of whether the state government fact checks it or the central government fact check it, the social media platform has an obligation to only note it, and then if it does not take it down, it has only the obligation of going to court and resolving the dispute between the aggrieved government department or the state government in this case. So I don't see any challenge or confusion being created if there are multiple fact check units at the state and the center level, even though I will make it very clear that our rules don't deal with, and therefore the statutory power under the IT Act is only granted to central government fact checking units.
So it is central government fact checking units, but will these units be a separate constitutional body or an extension of an existing body? Has a decision been made on that?
No. It's not a constitutional body. It'll be notified by the Ministry of that is the Electronics Ministry. It'll be a body. It's not constitutional. There's no constitutional provision for that body.
Right.
It simply will derive its powers from the rules and the IT Act, which is the rules are always enacted under the IT Act.
Right. Rishi from North 24 Pargana is with us on the phone line. MR Naikar from Bagalkot is also there with us. So it's a pan-India representation that is coming in. They're live, calling in live. Thank you for calling in. Thank you for joining us here on the broadcast. Yes, Rishi. After Rishi, I'll come to you, Mr. Naikar. Please stay with me. Yes, Rishi, you'll have to mute your television and keep your question short, please. Yes, Rishi. Thank you.
My
Please mute your TV. Rishi, please mute your TV. Yeah, go ahead, Rishi.
My question to Rajeev Chandrashekar is, why do you think that most people in India have a job mindset rather than a business mindset? Because business mindset people will lead to more self-sufficiency in India. Like people still lack digital resources and skills to develop their business. How can business skills be implemented all over the country by the government?
So the appetite to take risk, entrepreneurship, that's the question. Yes, Rishi, good question. Rajeev ji. Thank you, Rishi. Ji.
No, Rishi, it's a very good question and it's a very powerful question, and I think part of the answer is that for 70 years our government, our country and our economy was in a sense misled by this fake socialism that was thrust on us by previous governments, and there was really not that much of encouragement for individual enterprise, for startups. Business was seen as a bad thing, and you know what happened was there was a few business that grew bigger and bigger and bigger, and in 2010-11 I actually I presented in Parliament a startling fact that 97% of the Indian banking system's network had been cornered by and borrowed by 9 groups in India. So that was unfortunately the model, that was the status quo model followed by many so-called Congress governments who practiced socialism, but they were effectively doing this kind of a crony capitalism of the worst kind that was shutting out and crowding out everybody else who had an idea and who wanted to start an enterprise. It is post 2014 that this celebration of startup, this celebration of entrepreneurship, this encouragement where the government at every stage with policies, with other policy enabling framework has encouraged younger Indians and young Indians to start startups, celebrated successes of startups, and we have today 90,000 plus startups in this country, 110 unicorns that have become extremely successful. None of them had famous last names. None of them had a great grandfather or a father who had a famous last name. They've all become successful on their own merit, on their hard work, on their innovation, on the creativity. That is the future for India. That is the future that our Honorable Prime Minister sees when he talks about India Decade. And he said on August 15, 2021 that the India Decade will be built by, architected by, designed by, and it will be in a sense created by the ingenuity, the energy, determination of hundreds and thousands of young Indians from all around the country. So that is the direction that we are going in now, which is to really build our economic power and economic growth on the back of many hundreds and thousands of young Indians and their enterprises, rather than just a few or 5 or 6 groups as was the case for many decades before 2014.
Well, thank you very much. M.R. Naikar from Bagalkot. Yes, Mr. Naikar, thank you for your patience. Yes, please go ahead, please.
Sir. Sir, I am calling from Bagalkot. Hello.
Yes, please. Go ahead, Ji. Go ahead, Naikar.
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ
ನಾನು ಬಾಗಲಕೋಟೆ ಇಂದ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಸರ್. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು. ನೀವೇನು ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಬಿಲ್, ಡಾಟಾ ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಬಿಲ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಜಾಬ್ ಏನ್ ತರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಲ್ಲ, ಈಗ ಲಾಟ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಆರ್ ಕಮಿಂಗ್ ಔಟ್ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದೇರ್ ಗ್ರಾಜುಯೇಷನ್ ಆರ್ electronics or whatever it may be in computer stage, wherein in Karnataka especially the students who are completing their graduation, they are not getting any jobs. And also Make in India is quite essential in Bagalkot district, wherein nothing is available and nothing is coming any establishment from the government side. Will there be any chance of what is that the data protection bill and also jobs what you are now you are publishing, that I would like to
see, some of it comes to Bagalkot.
Could be possible to provide jobs.
So let's get to the aspect of jobs and also the aspect of make in India. Yes.
Yeah, Naikar Avare, I think you are asking a very good question, and I have recently, just about a month ago, launched after Prime Minister of India has sanctioned this in the budget. Prime Minister Kaushal Vikas Yojana 4.0, which is the 4th edition of a skilling program, but this time it has been redesigned and it is going to be delivered through colleges and universities in every district of India. And in Karnataka specifically, in the next 2.5 years, almost 18 lakh young Kannadigas will be given skill program and skill training in industry ready, future ready skills which have jobs that are available for those skills. What is happening today is more and more jobs are being created in newer and newer areas which require students with not just degrees, but they also have to have skills for that particular job. So we have announced a program, and over the next 2.5 years, almost 18 lakh namdu Kannadiga yuvage, we will be giving skill programs that will help them not just for self-employment and entrepreneurship, but also get jobs in these new emerging areas of electronics, technology, manufacturing, semiconductors, drones, AI, etc., etc.
Thank you very much, Naikar ji. Now Raju Paul from Shillong is with us on the phone line. Yes, Raju. Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, hello. Hello, sir.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Yeah, sir. First of all, great evening to our Honorable Minister Rajeev ji, and also to you.
Thank you.
And I am calling from Shillong, Northeast Meghalaya. So my specific question is in terms of Northeast India only, because if we compare the digital access of Northeast India compared to the mainland, the other cities or other parts of India, Northeast is lags behind. So my question to our Honorable Minister is that what's the government's plan to make Northeast also an ecosystem, and to give an ecosystem of startups and tech digital, and making Northeast India a tech digital part of the digital story of India. So that is my question.
Yes, Rajeev ji.
So Raju, thank you for that question, and I want to tell you personally, I have spent so much of time in the Northeast touring Meghalaya, Nagaland, Tripura and Manipur. I have visited almost all the states there, and the Prime Minister has over the last several years invested so much of investments and capital in creating digital skills, digital infrastructure. We have the largest network of NILITs, which is the National Institute for Electronics and IT Training in the Northeast. And we have almost 40 institutions in the Northeast alone that are delivering digital skills to our young Northeast Indians. So there is a lot of work that has gone on the issue of internet and coverage, especially in the hinterland and remote parts of the Northeast. The government of India has taken a decision earlier this year in earlier last year, where there will be no place in India without a minimum of 4G wireless coverage. That along with BharatNet will, in my opinion, by the year 24-25, make sure that almost all of the Northeast will get internet access and internet coverage. And as I've said, it is our Prime Minister's vision to have universal access to the internet. And by 25-26, we expect 120 crore Indians to be fully connected to the internet directly through either a combination of 5G, BharatNet, or the 4G networks that will be deployed by private and the government operators. So I think we are making significant progress in the Northeast. And in terms of startups, to the question that Raju asked, we have many startup centers, including one that I inaugurated in Shillong just a month and a half ago, that focuses on gaming startups, gaming and AVGC type startups, including online gaming. It was the first center of excellence that was launched anywhere in India, was launched in Shillong just 2 months ago. And I would encourage him to go visit and see that center of excellence that the STPI runs in Shillong.
Well, great. Thank you very much. So we've waited so many years in the Northeast, another 2.5 years. And that's what Rajeev ji is saying. I have plenty of questions. Gaurav is...
No, I didn't say that. Anand, I did not say wait for 2.5 years. I am saying there is a lot of activity already underway. But on the issue of 100% internet coverage, I think we will get there. Yeah, we will get there in the next 1.5 years.
I meant connectivity only, sir. But the fact is that there needs to be much more done. There is a lot of work that's being done, but the pace of work has to pick up faster, because when people start seeing things happen, they expect it to happen faster. Rajeev ji, I have two 4Gs who have got questions. And then after that, we will wear into some domain that we have not yet done. I need to ask you some questions on Karnataka politics. I have held back, but we will do that after we listen to the two 4Gs. So Group Captain MJ Vinod and also Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, both of them have questions. Let's quickly play that out and then we'll get Rajeev ji to answer both.
Being an Air Force officer's son and a qualified flying instructor's son, and an aviator yourself, I have one quick question for you. Your current ministry and especially technology, electronics, they have a large convergence in aviation world as well, because the new systems that are coming in place have, in terms of money and in terms of technology, is about 50 to 60% of aviation world is constituted by your current engagement. So, how do you see the convergence between Ministry of Civil Aviation and technology, which is headed by many other ministries? Unless they come together, quality products at the apex level, especially in terms of policy, looks to be a tall order. We need to address this issue, and how are we going to address this issue?
Gati Shakti type integration of line ministries. Quickly, Lieutenant General Kulkarni, and then you can take both, Rajeev ji. Yes.
Worldwide, IT serves as an intercommunication link. And the 4 pillars that determine the capacity for data collection, like you can say volume, velocity, variety, veracity, and India provides tremendous business opportunities, and especially in terms of data center, virtualization, cloud computing. My question is, in pursuit of supremacy, how do we ensure data sovereignty?
Ooh, two tough ones, Rajeev ji.
So thank you to both of them for these questions. On the issue of data sovereignty, I want to assure the General that our view on this is going to be driven significantly by this Digital Data Protection Bill that is going to be enacted by Parliament. And we are certainly clear that our Indian citizens' data will always be subject to their rights, and therefore there will be casted obligations of whoever collects the data and processes it for delivery of a service or delivery of a product. So one of the ways that we will ensure the data sovereignty is to say that if a intermediary or a data fiduciary chooses to process the data in a cloud that is, or a data center that is outside of India, there will be no prohibition of it, but certainly the Act and the obligations under the Digital Personal Data Protection Bill should be enforceable in that geography. So we are very clear that we will not allow the rights of our Indian citizens, and therefore the obligations of those who collect the data of Indian citizens and for processing to be ever diluted, regardless of the geography or the jurisdiction where this data is going to be processed, or the data center where the data is going to be processed. So that's point number one. As far as data sovereignty is concerned, we take that very, very seriously, and that is precisely what the Digital Data Protection Bill will end up achieving. To the group captain's view on sophistication, technology, essentially
convergence of the ministries
across various ministries
on technology and defense.
And I just want to tell him, I just want to assure him that this government of Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, while we are organized as ministries, but we operate as all of government in areas like this, especially the areas that he refers to. And it is precisely that, for that reason, that almost every company that is in the avionics space or in the battlefield technology space today, anywhere in the world, is in India today with their GCCs, with their R&D centers, with their development centers. And the talent pool in India for those types of sophisticated technologies that go all the way to semiconductor design, complex microelectronics design, we are one of the largest talent pools in the world today. And our policies, regardless of whether this is a Department of Science and Technology, whether it is the Ministry of Defense, whether there is MeitY, whether it is the Department of Telecom, there is an all of government approach towards creating the talent, creating this ecosystem of investments and job opportunities and companies and startups. And that is, I don't want him to feel at all disappointed or underconfident that there are four ministries involved or 5 ministries involved. We are operating today as an almost all of government with a central vision that the Prime Minister has laid out, that we need to transform from being consumers of technology to producers of technology in the India decade.
Well, Rajeev ji, we've got to take a very, very short break at this point, and I request you to just stay back with us. We'll come back and we'll do a quick round on Karnataka and politics. There's just one question that's left, and of course the dynamics going forward. Thank you very much. Just a very short break, ladies and gentlemen.
एरिया कुछ थोड़ा बहुत दिखाना चाहूँगा, क्योंकि हमें बहुत दूर रोका गया, हमें वहाँ पे जाने नहीं दिया गया है सिक्योरिटी के रीज़न से, लेकिन हम आपको थोड़ा व्यू यहाँ से दिखाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। आप देखिए कितना टेरेन एरिया है ये, आपको अपने विजुअल्स में जो हम दिखाने की कोशिश करेंगे कि पूरे जो यहाँ से आपको सिर्फ पहाड़ और जंगल ही जंगल दिख रहे हैं, और इन्हीं जंगलों का, इन्हीं पहाड़ी इलाकों का और इन्हीं टेरेन इलाकों का, टफ एरियाज का फायदा उठाते हैं आतंकवादी।
Crossing over to our correspondent Akash. Akash, can you give us more details about this incident that took place yesterday in Poonch district?
Right. So Anjali, you see, this happened at around 3 p.m. Yesterday when we got to know that this terror attack was launched on a vehicle that was on an administrative duty of Indian Army. At this point in time, the information that we have got is that joint operation is on and the whole area has been cordoned off. No one is allowed to enter in that area, and the investigating teams are already there. They are ascertaining several facts, and one such thing is the nature of the attack. You know, some are arguing whether or not it was a grenade attack, because you see, the visuals that emerged after the particular incident showed that how the rear part of the truck was on fire. But still, we don't know as to if grenade attack was launched or not, and this is the reason why officers of Indian Army, in fact FSL team and several other teams are on ground. They are ascertaining facts. We have lost 5 of our Jawan, 1 Jawan is critically injured, but the whole focus is now on the search operation. Several teams of Indian Army as well as the police are on the hunt, and they are looking for those people who came and launched this particular attack. This is very unfortunate. We have lost 5 of our jawans, and as you rightly mentioned, Army Chief has basically briefed Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh about the particular incident. In fact, senior officers are very much in touch with the commanders there, and as I mentioned earlier, commanders are on the ground. They are ascertaining the facts, because still we don't know as to they'll launch grenade attack or not, or some other thing was used in this particular attack. But yes, a terror organization has come out and has taken the responsibility of this particular attack. But we'll get to know about the facts of this matter in some time from now, Anjali.
Right, Akash, please stay with us. We also have Ishan Wani with us. Ishan, what is the current situation in Poonch district right now?
The road which goes to that area has been closed. The police has given alternate routes for the people to commute. This indicates that the fact that the and lots go through that area, check the difficult terrain is there. Then there is a bad weather conditions are prevalent, which can give an edge to the other side. That is why they have to be extra vigilant and careful. We must also point out that the fact that when last time, when around this area, which is 1 kilometer away, we are told by our sources, when Army lost more than 5 personnel in that particular attack, once the attack was carried out, Army immediately rushed in additional troops, and those additional troops also came under fire. That is where that is where security forces or Army might not want to go in, launch an attack, but carefully, tactfully use their resources and launch this particular attack, where they could be able to either nab them down or neutralize those militants who are behind this particular attack. As I was pointing out earlier, that there is a large presence or a small presence of these militant outfits in Poonch Rajouri belt, because they have been on and off carrying out attacks, be it on civilians. Last time we saw Dangri, where multiple people lost their lives. There were IEDs placed inside the houses. And then we also saw before that, as I was pointing out, that there was an attack which took place in the same area, same belt, where more than 6 soldiers lost their lives, including 2 junior commissioned officers. So that is a matter of concern for the security forces, but they have been cracking down on those elements who have been previously involved in such incidents or could still have links with those who are providing them overground support, because OGWs are the people who logistics and daily routine or route, because most of the it's mostly possible that those who are behind this attack could be from outside India, could be from Pakistan, and that is why security forces will be extra vigilant to not only trap them down but also bring down the whole network which is behind this particular attack. But the LOC is not far away. We don't yet know whether it's a freshly infiltrated group or it was a group which was operational in that part, because recently when these attacks have taken place, and PAFF was a shadow organization of Jaish and Lashkar combined, have done these attacks and then disappeared. They haven't come out, doing attacks after, few days or few months, but they have taken their own time and then planned and carried out attacks. So security forces might be very well aware about the fact. But if you look at the vehicle, there is also possibility. We don't know yet what the investigation.
Back on and going straight back to Rajeev Chandrashekar ji. Karnataka, what is going to happen? Are the defections going to hurt BJP? Yes.
No, absolutely not. Look, I think this is an election, as you saw in the UP, you saw in Gujarat, the strong pro-incumbency, the report card, the amount of work that has been done in Karnataka in the last 3.5 years. And as you know, Anand, we had a mandate that was snatched away in 2018 by this opportunistic alliance of the Congress and the JDS. And we were only given about 3.5 years in government. So, and in these 3.5 years, the state has seen some of the most difficult times, COVID, the floods, and our double engine Sarkara, first under Yediyurappa ji and then after him on the Bommai ji, have performed to beyond the expectations of people. And so our campaign strategy is very simple, to cut through the lies of the Congress, to cut through their shoot and scoot politics, is to present our report card, present what we have done in the last 3.5 years, and urge the people of Karnataka not to make the mistake of 2018. Give us a clear, decisive mandate, so that we can really give Karnataka, the state, the development that it deserves for the next 5 years. So I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that come May 13th, the mandate will be a decisive and significant mandate for the first time in the history of Karnataka for the BJP to get
what is heartening for me tonight, Rajeev ji, as I thank you very, very much, is that our viewers have steered clear of politics and focused on policy. I have asked the political question tonight, and that's very heartening. Thank you very, very much for doing this. Namaste, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Over to Zak.
Good evening, this is Brass Taxam Zakir Jacob. The Poonch terror attack in which 5 Indian Army soldiers died is casting a huge shadow now on what is already a troubled India-Pakistan bilateral relationship. The fact that the attack happened on the very same day that Pakistan Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto confirmed his participation in the upcoming SCO Foreign Ministers meeting in Goa in the first week of May, that may be coincidental, but that fact is not lost on anyone. Will this attack cast a shadow on the SCO meeting, and how should India respond to this attack? The last big attack that happened between India and Pakistan was Pulwama. That was in February of 2019. India